What's up, Buttercup? I'm Pam Barnes, marketing expert.
And I'm Hannah Cox, business strategist.
And this is the Go Getter Gals podcast,
where everyday gals grow together and you'll find resources to help you grow personally and professionally. Today's episode, I am interviewing Heather Wood. She is the owner of the Little Cottage Bakery, which is a cottage law bakery that services the Wiregrass everywhere from Andalusia to Dothan and Troy to the Florida state line. So Heather, how long have you been in business?
I started the Little Cottage Bakery in 2022. It's funny, we were coming out of Sam's Club and I was looking at my receipt, and prices almost doubled overnight. And I know we all have been there going, where's my money going? Looking at that. And I was looking, and I started flipping out, and I'm having like this mental breakdown in my car. And my husband, poor husband, is looking at me like, she's insane. Okay. I was like, that's it. I'm starting the bakery. He looked at me and it's like, that means we'll be buying more food. I'm like, yes, I know that. Thank you. So 2022, I went out and I found myself a double oven at the Restore, and that was down in Dothan, and that was a steal. And then I started making and marketing, and it was like, hey, come try this, come try that, and I would give them away, and that's how it was born. My son always wanted to go on to Cupcake Wars with me, and he's like, Mom, we could do that. And he's like 7 at the time. I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Let's go. But turns out, yeah, I kind of do Cupcake Wars now. So
Nice. Okay, that's great. And 2022, that was the first time I found you too.
yes,
I found you at the Daleville festival that was
the
happening.
Dale County, I don't know, fair, Dale County Fair. That's what
Yeah,
that was. Yep.
and I had my firstborn son with me. We were taking him
Mhm.
to the fair, and I saw you, and I was like, "Do you
I
think
remember.
you could make this very specific
Yep.
specialty cake for me?" And
And
you were like,
you're like, do you do cakes? I was like, oh yeah. Honey, I do everything. What do you want? Just tell me what you want. I'll make it happen. And because back then I didn't know everything that I know now. And of course, in 3 years, I won't know everything I know. Anyway, but yeah, you were like, hey, do you do cakes? I was like, yes, babe. Take my card. We'll talk. And you messaged me, and you're like, his name. He told me his name and told me what cake you wanted. And I was like, I got you. And I had so much fun making that sword and the stone cake. I had so much fun doing that. I made that the sword out of chocolate. I made everything edible. I was so happy to do that cake. It was so fun.
I loved it. It was a hit, and I just knew. I told my husband, I was like, "Well, not only is it absolutely adorable and turned out great, it was the most delicious cupcakes and cake."
Thank
And
you.
I was like, "Well, I'm not ever going anywhere else for cupcakes and cakes." And then, of course, I had you do my second son's first birthday
Yes.
specialty cake too, and it was a hit, and it was delicious.
I
So
loved it. I love that little toasted marshmallow s'more. He was so cute. And then you sent me his picture, and I'm just like, that's perfect. That is absolutely
yeah,
perfect. Stuff in his sweet little face, and I'm just like, oh my god, I love it. I love it. I want him to. Just so squishy.
yes,
Yeah, it makes
I
me just.
loved it. So
I'm
so
so glad.
what all do you offer for people who are listening and who will probably look you up? What are some of the things that you offer?
I do cakes. Okay, so I do vendor events. So in those vendor events, I do cakes, cookies, pies, sweetbreads, pastries, and I do candies like fudge and chocolate covered caramel and things like that. Now I can do those things otherwise, but typically I do for specialty orders. I do cupcakes, cakes. Like if you ordered a pie like around Thanksgiving, yeah, I'd do that. If you order a pie in March, I'll do that for you too. But no, I do specialty cakes like birthdays, weddings. My very first wedding cake I made when I was 17 years old. My fingers were purple for a week, but it was my brother's wedding cake, and I made it for him. We had a real good time, and it was like 3-tier and really pretty. But yeah, I do cake pops, cake sickles, cinnamon rolls. I do pretty much everything you can think of. I have made it at one point or another, and I would make it again.
What do you feel like is your favorite pastry or dessert or just thing to bake?
Well, I am cottage law, so what I can make is not necessarily what my favorite thing to make is. My favorite thing to make is I make the Not Your Mama's banana pudding, which is a free recipe from Paula Deen. You guys can find it anywhere, but it's so good. I make that for my husband. I can't stand bananas, so I make it with strawberries for myself. That's my favorite thing to make because it's super easy. I know. Look at your face. You're like, I didn't think about that.
Strawberry
Yes, you
pudding.
could strawberries. Another thing, pavlova is very easy to make. My favorite thing to make are basically if it's going to make you happy, make you do that little dance. You know that this is good. I'll make that. But my favorite baked good to make, I love cake. I love cupcakes. Cupcakes are really easy too. You just pull one and done. They're so good. But all
I
of my
love your
stuff is
cupcakes
from
too.
scratch. All of my stuff is from scratch. I've developed these recipes over a long time, and I do not use box. I very rarely use a boxed mix. I will use them for my cake sickles, but I doctor them, so it's not just one,
Yeah.
vanilla cake and a thing, and you're charging $30. No, I'm not. But no, I do most of my stuff from scratch.
Okay. Well, I want to start off with my questions being a little bit lighter and fun. So let me ask you, what is one small thing that you did this week that felt like a win?
Lord. Well, I have no idea. Felt like a win. You know what? I worked on starting my 2026 schedule and what I was going to do for that. And with Christmas right here, and I know this is going to go out later, but being here, mid-December, it's really hard to think ahead when you have to think about now. But as a business person, I also have to think ahead. So it's one small win I did, I guess. I have no idea. I guess starting on my 2026 year and where I'm going with my schooling for the kids and do because we homeschool and just doing my business and whether I want to scale up, stay it together. Do I want to pare down? Do I want to streamline things? Where do I want my business to go in 2026? I know that's such a complicated question right now, and I'm giving you a complicated answer to a simple question. I'm so sorry.
No, that does feel like a win then. If you have been able to sit down and get some clarity and like focus on what your plan is, even just for the next quarter, that's a huge win when you're in a position like you're describing where you have all of these ideas, but it's not that simple. You have to navigate a lot of complicated things in your life to find the answer to what does 2026 look like for you. So I get that. That is a good win.
Well, thank you.
Good. All right, one more fun question. This is my favorite question. What is a guilty pleasure that you refuse to feel guilty about?
I refuse to feel guilty. I don't know. I can have it in my head, but getting it out is going to be tough for me. So give me a second. I I refuse to feel guilty about pleasure because let's face it, I'm a mom. Most women listening to this are moms, and we are constantly feeling guilty about everything, right? You took an extra 10 minutes in the shower, or your kids are crying at the door, or we're always feeling guilt about something. And we have to take those little wins, those pleasures, those whatever, whenever we can get them. So you know what? My not guilty pleasure is no, I'm not sharing my Ferrero Rocher with my kids, or I will have I will put some extra whipped cream in my hot chocolate, or you know what, I don't care if you don't like this dinner. You not eating one day is not going to starve you, won't hair lip you. All you have to do is just you just don't like it, don't eat it. I'm making this because I like it. Just sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do just for yourself, and it doesn't matter if the world understands it, likes it, or wants it. If you like it, want it, do it. That's my guilty pleasure. I won't share my candy.
Fair enough. Yes. I agree with you. I haven't really thought of it that way, but you're right. I feel like mom guilt is such a big thing. And it's such a big thing that we do talk about it. It's not like it's not talked about, but I feel like people associate mom guilt with like bigger things, but there is that
Hmm.
tiny little bit of guilt that you feel, these micro doses of guilt throughout the day,
Exactly.
and that adds up without you even thinking about it. So yeah, if you want the extra piece of dessert,
Hmm.
or if you want a little extra time to yourself, like let the husband, let the daddy do the nighttime routine, and you go to
He's a
bed early
parent.
and
Why
stay on your
not?
phone. Yeah. So yeah, I get that. I love
But
it.
yeah,
Okay. Well, of course, one of the reasons why I invited you to be a guest and for me to interview you is so that we could talk about your business. And I feel like a lot of girls, young girls, when they think about what they want to do when they grow up, a lot of them think about owning a bakery or a cafe, because I do think that just innately there's something really peaceful about being able to create something that other people can enjoy. And so I really wanted to invite you on, and I want to talk. I have a couple of questions for you about your business that I hope could help someone listening
Absolutely.
who,
I would love
who
to do that.
yeah. So let me ask you about let's I wanted to ask you about risk. So obviously there's a lot of risk when you start a business,
Yes.
depending on who you are and where you are in life. So I want to know, what is a risk that you took that panned out, that actually helped your business grow, and like you're happy that you took that risk.
Honestly, it's the Dale County Festival Fair, the Dale County Fair, because I had never put myself out like that before, not with this. And anything can go wrong with food. You we stick to safer stuff. The baked goods are typically better, and that's why cottage law restricts you to non-refrigerated, nothing that needs to be refrigerated or temperature controlled. Like if I have to keep something hot or I have to keep something below a certain temperature, which I fully understand. Um, because I don't want a cheesecake sitting out in my farm store for 2 days. No, that would be gross. But
Right.
the risk that I took for that was putting myself out there because anything can happen. Someone takes a bite of my one of my cupcakes and they start choking. Was that from me? Was that because they inhaled? Was that because, what's the problem? But
Right.
on the flip side of that, I absolutely love the expression on people's faces, the moment of bliss when they try something and they're like, oh, you know, this is exactly what my soul was wanting. But
Right.
another risk I took was doing it, just taking that step and doing it. I mean, I didn't need a double oven, but dear God, did it help? I spending that money that you don't necessarily have, but you believe in yourself so much that you should and can do it. That yeah, that turned out to be a wise investment that was a risk at the time because it was also around Thanksgiving and we have 12 people in our family plus we had guests. We were broke, who we were at that time we were just like holy crap, we are robbing Peter to pay Paul here, and I have like maybe 10 extra bucks. So, but I found it. I'm like, I have to do this. My husband's like, I'll find the money somewhere. Good man.
Ah, I was about
And
to say that's a good man who
yeah,
supports the wife's dreams, and it panned
he
out.
absolutely does. It did because it was my husband and I are a partnership, and most marriages are. But when I say that, I mean I support him in his dreams. He supports me in mine. And it's not just a 50-50, it's 100-100. So when you have a good partner in life like that, you can take more risk because you know that there will be fallback or there will be something to fall back on. And that's hard. And it's harder when you don't. And when you don't, I think that reward is so much more when you don't
Yeah.
have that support system.
And I love talking about the risks that work out, because I feel like it's really encouraging for people to be like, yeah, I can take a risk and there is a shot for me. But I also feel like it's important to talk about the things that didn't work out, and
Yes.
how, so of course, what's a mistake that you've made that's taught you the most about being successful in business?
What's taught me the most about being successful in business is honestly, there's a lot of failure that goes on. There's a lot of things that don't work out how you think they will, and you will be spending money. Like in my business, you have to buy ingredients in order to try something new. And like I said, I do make everything from scratch. And when I started out, I can't tell you how much money I went through that it's because I accidentally overbaked or my oven needed to be tweaked and it wasn't at the right temperature or I baked something for someone and it wouldn't come out exactly the same way. And I had to figure out what I did wrong. And I wrote a recipe down wrong and I didn't tear out the recipe or tear out the scale before I put something in. And then, I was off on my measurements and, it takes a lot of time, a lot of, dedication and a little bit of capital to start. But once you get there, once you get going, it's wow, I can do this. I can do this a lot. I can replicate this. I'm good now. You don't have to worry about being stupid with it because you know what's going to work. But until you find that risk does. Now I will say that I had things that did not work out for me. I tried certain things and they were failures, and that was just, you learn from that though. But
Is there one mistake that kind of stands out that really hurt, but, hindsight, you're like, "Okay, I needed that."
not as of right now. I'll probably remember that a little bit later, but one mistake that stands out. You know what? Yeah, I did communication. When I did not I thought I had enough communication from my client to make her the cake that she wanted. She wanted something Harry Potter, and her house was Slytherin, and I was tried making it, and I did not get it. I thought I had knew what she wanted, but I did not understand that I didn't communicate enough to get nuanced detail to make it so how she wanted. It's not like you see on like Cake Boss or anything where they go in for a 5-minute consultation and that's done. No, you need to be able to, okay, so how do I, like, even with you, I was like, for the s'mores cake, okay, what do you want? Do you want this chocolate? Do you have this? Are you okay with if it's not exactly like that? Do you want this? Do you want that? I have an idea for this. How do you think? It
Yeah.
needs a lot of back and forth just to be sure I give you what you want. And when I did not understand that, that was a risk that did not pay off. That was one of those, well, I failed that one, learn from it and move on. But I still to this day go, is this gonna be another snake cake? You know? So
Love that.
but
Yeah,
but
I
it's just
loved that experience working with you too because, I do understand that I can't just, like, give you a picture and you just, like, print it out as a cake, so
and
it is
AI's
nice.
killing it now.
Yeah, I
AI's
know.
killing that now because honey, I'm sorry, I can't make a butterfly float in thin air. I mean, I can't do it. Love to.
Right. And so but being able to ask you, how what's your confidence with this? And you're like, "Yeah, I could definitely do this, but here's my idea and this is how I want to approach it." And like that
Know
was
your skills. That's
it was
another downfall.
eye-opening for me as a consumer to be able to it brought more confidence in for me to you because you were so thorough and you're like, "Yeah, I wanna here's my limitation, and here's my creative solution." And it was really fun and it was great. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it's finding the top lid for it. I was like, "No, we're gonna do an open faced. Is that all right?" But I wanted him to have the best cake, and I could have made a top s'more, but he never would have gotten through it. I mean, he's
Right.
one. I wanted to
Yeah.
give him something that he would enjoy.
He would have
So
found a
yeah,
way, let me tell
I'm
you.
sure. I'm
That
sure.
joker.
But I also didn't want to give him, straight sugar, where he'll, his eyes will dilate at different rates.
Right?
But
Yeah.
no, your skill level. A lot of people, and I did this too. You're not as advanced as you think you are until you've done it several times. So know your limitations. That can be a downfall. Just because it's worked for
Yeah.
you up until now doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work on the next one.
Hey gals, if you love what you're hearing and you want to get more involved, because trust me, I love Go Getter Gals. I'm obsessed with it. If you love this podcast as much as we do, all you have to do is go on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and we're under Go-Getter Gals. We are going to have all of our episodes on the podcast link on our website at go-gettergals.com. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt for just a second. We look forward to continuing to help you grow. Without further ado, here's the Go Getter Gals podcast.
Right. So, I recognize that you're in an industry that is a primarily female-led industry,
Yes.
but how do you feel being a woman affects you as a business owner?
I'm not going to give the answer like, well, it's harder to be a woman in business because really it's not. My generation is older than your generation. And even my mom's generation did a lot of fighting for women in business. And by the time I came into the workforce way back in the last century, it wasn't as hard for women to advance as it was in previous generations. But now I would say that because I am in a primarily female dominated business, I don't think it's necessarily hard for me, but I'm also used to adversity and I welcome challenge. So I'm not going to say it was harder for me as a woman because some things are harder, but some things are easier.
Mhm.
But I will say that I do appreciate the support from other women because we each understand what the other one's going through when we come up against adversity from men. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think of that question because I agree with you. I do feel like in today's climate, it's a lot easier to be a working woman and a business
Yes.
owner.
It's
But
hard
I
to be a
feel
working anybody,
yeah.
but it's expected of men. And but when women do it, we're just like, I mean, we're always going to have those gender roles, whether we want to or not. There's always going to be that mentality of the gender roles. Like men work, women just stay at home and bake. Okay, whatever.
I think a
I'm
lot
doing what.
about the I think more about the obstacles that we face as women being caregivers, being moms,
Yes.
and
Separating that, I agree with you on that. Separating because we're always expected to be the mom, the caregiver, the one at home, the one making sure that everything's okay and all the doctor appointments are made and little Timmy has his underwear right and clean and all that crap. We're still expected to do that. And as a mom, I gladly do that. And yes, that does pose a challenge for me to work my business and to be the mom. But I'm lucky because I do it at home. I am blessed. I'm not going to say lucky. I am blessed because I am able to do it at home where I can still watch my children that I homeschool, grow and I can still have them, hey, you're on dishes duty today because mama's got to bake, but
right.
I'm when you turn it into a family thing, it's easier. There are some jobs out there like for you, for example, you have the podcast. I don't know how you would turn that into a family thing. I don't know how you would get your boys involved. But I mean, they're still very little, so that wouldn't. But in what I do right now, it's easier for me. So I can't confidently say what it should be for other women. I'd love to be the be all end all authority, but I am not. So I mean, I'm here to. I guess it's because I'm here to help other women too. I've been there. I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to be frustrated as a mom. I know what it's like to be frustrated as a business owner. Hey, I have an idea. Here's a suggestion that might make your life a little bit easier.
Right.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think that's naturally inherent to all women who do that anyway. Girlfriend, I've been there. Just throw some ramen on, you'll be fine. Here, have you thought about, doing this instead of that? We naturally give advice. We find a movie we like and we're like, girlfriend, you got to go see this.
Mhm.
We recommend things to each other all the time. Girl, this face cleaner is amazing. I would stay away from that lotion. It stunk to high heaven. I mean, we recommend and help each other avoid the bad always. So I think when women stick together, we really we move mountains. We create new worlds. And I think that women helping women, especially in a podcast that like this, it's a good thing. It's a real good
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah, we're really
I don't even
excited
remember what the
about
question was. I'm so sorry. I just took that on a journey.
yeah, no, it was just, it had to do with being a woman in business and the unique struggles that we face. I'm not saying that family men
Of course.
don't face similar troubles, but you're right. I think just by nature, women
Of
do
course.
handle the majority of the mental load. And then in your
Yes.
case, you also are homeschooling and, and I think it's amazing. If you had advice for moms who do have the extra role that you have of you're not just a mom, you're a teacher, you're the caregiver, you're the nurse, you're the everything, the
Chef,
driver.
the chauffeur, the doctor.
That's right. So, I mean, if you had advice for a woman who really fits into her role as a mom, but wants to be a business owner, what advice would you have for her to juggle those two roles or
You're
10 or
already doing the
1,000
mental
roles?
load, but you're already doing the mental load, but baby, you need to plan. You need to have a plan. Your plan can change, but if you don't have a goal, you are going to hit it every time. So plan. Oh Lord, I have to be at this meeting, I have to be over here, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. Baby, you got a crock pot. That's how you're going to feed your kids that night. Throw them in the early, and I love my crock pots. Like this is a mom tangent right now. I can plan, and I plan menus from payday to payday. So it's either going to be a soup or it's going to be something that can go in a crock pot and throw together, and I can come home. I can even come home to a home cooked meal that I didn't have to cook because it's already done for me.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't like crock pot meals. You know what? I don't care. this is what saved me.
Right.
This is where I'm not running around all day taking kids doctor's appointments and then a dental appointment and then their sports. My kids are in taekwondo, and then I come home and it's 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, what am I going to feed these? You're supposed to be going to bed here soon.
Hmm.
Scoop it out. I mean, the worst thing I have to do is boil some pasta and then put whatever it is over top of it. You know,
Right.
if you plan well, you will be much more of a success. And that's not just like for meals and stuff. That's okay. Well, I have this. We have to get here. You're off on at this time. You have to pick him up and take him over there. Or I have a meeting. I need this meeting to go as short as it possibly can. Let me prepare packets for everybody that they can do on their own. Let me do, if it takes a little more work up front, but it saves you time in the long run, honey, do it then. Don't procrastinate, get it done. Get it done, get it done, get it done. And I'm telling myself this. I'm telling myself this because I am the ADHD queen and I procrastinate. And next thing I know, I'm like, I've got to get this done. I have 2 days left and my freezer went out.
Yeah, that's the advice I would give to everyone, mother or not mother. I feel like I have clients that I talk to who don't handle the household, and still, if they want to be successful in the way that they define success with their business, they have to have a plan.
You
That's
have to
just
have a
how it
goal.
goes.
I
You have to
mean,
have clarity, you
I
have to
live
have
by my
goals.
planner. I have a
Yeah.
happy planner and I love them and I'm not getting paid for this. I plan my life with my happy planner. I have the front month and I put everything where I have something there and then I flip to the page and I'm like detailed. So my husband, he goes up to Montgomery for his one of his VA appointments. I have detailed list. I've got everything, every medication he has. I have how much he takes of it. I have, I have when the last time he's had this done, when the last time he's had that done, what he still needs to get done. Should we run more tests for this? And you know, it drives people crazy, but we're not lacking in that. So because I have to plan, I have to have it on the calendar. If it's not written down, it's not getting done.
Right.
So
Right.
that's just where it
Okay.
is. Tomorrow's your birthday. Sorry, we didn't write it down. you know,
I
I'm
I
joking.
know no, I know someone out here is listening to this podcast because they saw that we were interviewing a baker and they want to know how they can get started with a cottage law at home bakery or farm stand, or they want to do what you're doing. So,
Okay.
what advice would you give someone who wants to do what you do that you wish someone gave you when you first started?
Okay, there's buckle up, baby. This is going to be good. First, you need to know the laws. You need to know what you can and cannot do. Then you need to know what you have to do to get in compliance with the law. For example, in Alabama, we have to have a food safe certificate that we go through once every 3 years, and we have to present that to the Department of Public Health, where we will get a cottage law license. The license does not cost us in Alabama, at least it didn't in Dale County when I did it. I don't know if it's different per county. I don't think it is, but I'm not the law, so you have to do that research. Once you do all that, you have to know what you want to do. Do you want to just do, everything, which I don't recommend. I will talk about that in a second. Or do you want to specialize? Hey, you know what? I tried everything when I first started, and I fully admit that. But I quickly found out, one, I was spreading myself way too thin. Two, I wasn't doing what I loved anymore. And three, I was catering to people who would also try to talk me down out of my price. So the advice I would give, aside from getting your legal ducks in a row, one, find your product. Find your niche product. I don't care if it's cupcakes. I don't care if it's cake pops. I don't care if it's treat boxes. I don't care if it's cinnamon rolls. Do what you do best and then market yourself for that. And then two, stop underpricing yourself. "Oh, well, I did this and I gave them a discount because I'm afraid that I'm not going to do well in this and I don't, and all of a sudden I'm not making bank because I have to pay out this and I forgot about this and oh yeah, I still have overhead. And well, if I just double this, it'll be okay." Right now, you need to know where every penny is going, because if you don't, you're not going to make anything. Do not underprice yourself because, Cindy Lou Who down the street, she bakes cookies for $5 for an entire pack. Okay, good. She's opened up a pack of Toll House and, she's just doubled her money. That's not what you're doing. You are
Yeah.
doing a business. Treat your business like a business. You
Mhm.
cannot, is it okay? Did I do this right? Now you're going to ask questions, and that's fine. When you're starting out, ask the questions. Ask to somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't just throw it in a Facebook group because you are going to get the most obnoxious snark and, well, you should already know this, you should do that. Honey, ask someone who's been there. Feel free to contact me. I will help you through it. I won't do the things for you, but I will tell you what needs to be done. But I was going somewhere. Give me one second. My ADHD brain just kind of derailed. But you need to know where your product is, what you need to sell it for in order to make a profit, and do not let your mouth overrun your capabilities. Well, yeah, I can totally do that 4-tier wedding cake that I have to deliver 4 hours away. No, baby, you can't. No, you can't. You can no. And here's why. Icing and heat are not good bedfellows. Okay, they don't like each other. You will deliver a hot mess. You will do a Pinterest nailed it. Okay, if you try to do that. If you have not done a structured wedding cake before, you need to practice before you do, before you say yes. If you have not made a croquembouche, don't attempt it on the first try. Don't think you're going to just do one magic thing and it's going to look perfect. It's
Mhm.
not. It's going to look like there's a website. I forget the name of it, but they took pictures of really horrible cake wrecks. Cake wrecks. Just go look at some of those and you're just going to laugh. You're going to be like, "Yep, I did that. That was me." But don't let your mouth overrun your capabilities. But practice. You can have a dummy cake that you ice and then scrape off that icing and then reuse. That's
Mhm.
one way to do social media. You have a cake, you decorate it. Hey, everything's decorated and pretty, and you don't have a client to give that to. Scrape that sucker off, re-ice it with change the color, re-ice it with what you have, and make another cake. You
Yeah.
can fake it to make it, baby, but it also builds your skills. Also, and then the last thing I'm going to say is know what's trendy, but don't be a slave to it.
Mm.
Right now it's going out, but excuse me, I'm so sorry. My voice decided to die. Know what's trendy, but don't be a slave to it. Like the Victorian style used to be Victorian, and then he's brought it back, and it was all like more icing than any human needs, and it's very floofy and flowery and ruffles everywhere and extra icing and drapes. And okay, that's a trend. But that doesn't have to be your signature style. You can find what you like to do, and you will find clients for that. Do not allow the client to dictate every minutia detail. That's not that's not to say don't know what they want, but it means you don't have to take pictures along the way to show them where you are in the process. Why? So they
Mhm.
can sit there and, well, I don't like this. Can you change that? Can you move that over there? No, baby. No. You paid for a cake. I'm giving you a cake. You want a lot of clients, and I hate to say this, I'm just going to say it plainly. There are some cheap people out there. They have champagne dreams on a tap water budget, and they want this massive grandiose cake, and they don't realize how much time it's going to take, how much time it's going to take. You're not even going to realize how much time it's going to take. Not when you're first starting out anyway. They don't realize how much product you're going to be using.
Mhm.
A lot of people past couple of years, I've heard the words, but it's just flour, cake, or flour, sugar, and eggs. I can't tell you how many times. And I'm like, yeah, but have you priced sugar? Have you gone out and seen how much butter is and how much I need? Have Do you honestly think that eggs, my God, we were making memes about it, not to be,
Yeah.
not to my husband, but I ate one egg today, not to brag about my husband's wealth, but I ate an egg today. You know, I mean, it's just this. Yeah, it's just that. It's also just my time. It's just my electricity. It's just that I have to have cake pans and that costs me money. It's just
And
that
your
I have to buy
expertise.
things. Exactly. You're not paying for the cake, you're paying for what I know and by delivering something amazing to you. You're not going to get an 8-inch cake on a 4-inch cake budget.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to
So
feed. 145 people. So sorry.
So no, that's okay. So to summarize, someone who wants to start a cottage law bakery would need to know the law,
Yes.
pick a niche,
Yes.
practice the craft, set their own expectations, and stay current with trends, but don't be a prisoner
And
to them.
practice. If you want
I
to
love
work
that.
on cakes where you're decorating, practice. If you
Yes.
want to just do like a farm style, like a farm stand, which I absolutely recommend. Know what you're selling. Like you don't want to do a wedding cake in your farm stand,
Right.
but if you do a box cookies, some brownies and some cinnamon rolls, honey, go for it. You want to do sourdough bread? I'm not a sourdough girl. I'd love to be. I'm not. That's not my niche. My friend Michaela, my friend Michaela, she is the bread queen. She made one. I wanted to be buried in it. I was like, please bake this around me when I die. It was a feta cheese and spinach and garlic. Oh my God. She's the bread queen. She's not a cake decorator.
Right.
We all find our own niche, and that's what you need to do.
All right. Well, we're here at the end of the episode, so I want to end it with a question that we ask everybody. And that is, I want you to define what legacy means to you, and then what legacy would you like to leave?
To me, legacy means building something that is going to outlast me, but is beneficial to my family and hopefully the community around me. Now, my family is my first priority. And well, that's so selfish. No, it's really not. It's not because your family's your priority. Someone else's family is their priority. That's how it should be. We should be community minded, but for our family. And for me, leaving something like skills that I teach my children on how to do this, skills on how to run a business, skills on just baking and taking care of your own family. That is a legacy. And if they heed my teachings and they grow into it, they're going to pass those down to their children. And that is a familial legacy that I want. I want so bad. And even when I'm long and gone, or long gone, I'll get my English right. Even when I'm long gone, I want those skills to be passed down. Now, whether they continue with a bakery that I one day hope to have a brick and mortar, I would love that. I would love to build a business where my family can still thrive. But another thing that I think that we need to remember is we have to bring in our legacy. If we don't bring the quality and the goodness that we know that we're capable of, that legacy is going to fail. So another priority of mine in my legacy is to make sure that everything that I do and when I'm doing it to benefit the community is of utmost top quality, highest performance, best cake you're ever going to have. That's what's going to set me apart. I mean, there's a million and one treat makers. There's a million and one cake bakers. Plus the brick and mortars. That's not to discourage anybody from doing this. It's to tell you that you can do it while the market everybody bakes. They don't really. Not only do they not have time, there's a lot of people that just they don't know how, and that's okay. So to build my legacy, I want to be the best. I want to be the go-to. I want to be the one that everybody's like, you know what? I had this from her one time. This is amazing. Girl, I recommend Little Cottage Bakery. Let me tell you, she will make you a cake that you're gonna slap your mama. It's so good. You're gonna want it all the time. And I do run specials. I do run discounts. I run, hey, I've been practicing, so I need to move these little cakes. They're 15, $20 a piece, that they'd be little
Yeah.
for that. But I mean, I'm running a special now where you can get this little bento cake and six cupcakes. That's $70 and 70. Yeah, well, trust me, I'm doing a lot of work to these. It's not just well, why would I do that? I'm totally going off. I'm sorry. We're
That's
talking about
okay.
legacy, but but yeah, the legacy is to bring the best quality. So that way, when you see something like Walmart, you can look at the ingredients and go, as a dicarbonamide, that's what makes yoga mats spongy. Why would I want that in my bread? No, let me call Heather. She can make it where it's real.
Mhm.
We're all
Nice.
very conscious about what we're putting into our bodies, even if it's snacks and stuff that's not good for us.
Yeah.
But we don't want to put unnecessary chemicals into us because God knows what it's going to do to our brains and bodies later on.
Right. Well, I
My
love
legacy
that.
would be to do that.
I love that. Tell our listeners where they can find you.
Okay. You can find me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/The Little Cottage Bake. My website is www.cottagebake.com. You can email me at thecottagebake@gmail. You can find me on Insta. And if you found me on Facebook, you'll see my Insta page, but I'm pretty sure it's the Cottage Bake or Little Cottage Bake, one of those. And I'm starting my TikTok, which it's bad. I'm old. I don't do the social medias like this. I leave that to my kids, but I'm trying to get better with that. So I will be doing shorts and stuff on YouTube, on TikTok and YouTube and all
TikTok.
that. I will, yes. But if you need me, I'm everywhere. You can find me.
I love it. And all of the information for this episode, where you can find Heather, all of that we're going to put in the show notes. So make sure you go like and
Yes.
follow us, The Little Cottage Bakery, and Go Getter Gals on Facebook and Instagram, as well as visit our website for the latest episodes of the Go Getter Gal podcast. That's go-gettergals.com. Thank you for joining me, Heather. This has been a really
Thank you
great
so much for having
episode.
me.
Of
I've
course.
had a blast. Thank you so much.
Hey, gals. Thank you for listening to the Go Getter Gal podcast. All of the information for this episode can be found in the show notes. Make sure that you go and like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube. And to find the latest episodes of the Go Getter Gal podcast, you can visit our website at go-gettergals.com. See you next time.